now, Kaylee may not be in very good shape. You understand what I'm saying? She may not be the way we or the way your family last remembers her. We need to find out from you where Kaylee is. This right now is this is going so far downhill, and this has become such a mess that we need to end it. It's very simple. We just need to end it.
I agree with you. I have no clue where she is.
Sure you do.
If I knew in any sense where she was, this wouldn't have happened at all.
Casey Anthony confidently and defiantly denying she knows anything about what happened to Kaylee. I am back with the experts and your calls. Lydia, California, your question or thought, ma'am?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I want to know if anyone knows where Casey was going for the 2 years she was pretending to have a job.
Excellent question, Rosie Franco. Have you ever gotten to the bottom of that?
Well, we've tried to obviously peel the layers away from the onion on this question, and obviously we've learned that she's been at friends' houses, and when she's been home, she said she was at friends' houses, and when she was at friends' houses, she said she was home. So we don't know.
Yeah, she was with a boyfriend a lot of time, and then she would also lie to those boyfriends and her friends and say, oh, yeah, the child is with Zanny the nanny. And nobody ever met Zanny the nanny. So Kia Marie sold the story of hers to the Inquirer for a reported $20,000. Now, we've been discussing this. Does that mean her testimony is tarnished? If you go by O.J. Simpson's standards, it could very well be. Remember Jose Camacho? He dished that O.J. bought a knife at the store where he worked just weeks before the murders. He netted $12,500 and tainted himself in the process. Jill Shively told Hard Copy she saw O.J. driving near the murder scene around the time of the crime. Crucial testimony, but she was dropped from the witness list because she spoke to a tabloid. And get this, when the show Inside Edition interviewed the ex-wife of Cato Kalin, they polluted a potential witness for the defense. She was reportedly ready to contradict Cato about O.J.'s state of mind. Steve Cardian, former criminal investigator, has Kia Marie tainted herself?
By going to the Inquirer, it's certainly not going to help the prosecution's case or her credibility in this matter. There should be something in place that prohibits this. It's ludicrous, and it's allowing information out there that just shouldn't be released.
There is something in place, though, Jane. Here's what's in place. Prosecutors don't call witnesses like this to the stand. You know, in the U.S. Attorney's offices throughout this country, there's a greater system of checks and balances with supervisors and supervisors to supervisors. In most of those cases, someone like this would never get called. This is really indicative of kind of low-end prosecuting if they're thinking of using this in a case clearly favoring the state of Florida. This is really just pathetic, and the prosecutors need to be running as fast as they can away from this witness.
Well, it's really upsetting because she had other stunning revelations. Yeah. Kia Marie was told by her doctor not to have kids. Here's what she told cops. When Casey found out she was pregnant, I asked her, what are you going to do about it? And she's like, well, I really want to give it up for adoption. I said, if you're going to give it up for adoption, then you know I'm strongly considering adopting the baby from you. She said that's a good idea. But then she called me back saying that her mom pretty much has told her that, no, she needs to keep the baby. Now, Dr. Judy, to me, that speaks to motive.
I would say so, too. And all of it sounds relevant for her state of mind and the kind of person she is. And
wait, which part are you talking about is relevant of her state of mind?
Okay, here's what's relevant. I didn't want the baby. I tried to give it up to my friend for adoption. I don't want the baby. That could be a motive for murder.
Exactly. And just because she had doubts, because she found out that she was pregnant, that made her the murderer?
Oh,
and that this woman, and by the way, just to go backwards, the fact that you raised, when a woman is paid $20 grand for her story, it's similar when someone gets a plea agreement from a prosecution and they have to say, did you get any agreement to testify here against somebody else? You're tarnished in a juror's mind. So to go to the psyche of a juror, the fact that they're using this person, I agree that this is desperate. This is called desperation because at this point all they have is that they have a dead child, unfortunately, was just horrific for any family to have to go through, and they don't know who did it.
They
listen,
have a dead
I
child, and they also have a dead hamster. And what's the
Oh
question?
my God, it's the hamster again.
Oh, right. It's the
Listen,
hamster again,
it's
and I think
not
it's
that
relevant.
it's a
And here's
hamster,
the-
it's that they had the same burial site from when
Right.
they
I'm
were
an animal
kids.
lover. Leave the hamster out of this.
No, I think it's all relevant to her state of mind. And on top of that, you asked before, Jane, like, what could they possibly come up with? What could Jose Baez come up with to say why it took all this time for her to come out and say that what's happened to her child? Okay, a psychologist could go on and say, you know what? It's denial when you're in such shock, like from war shock, you end up repressing something. I would never say that. I'm not saying this, but I'm saying this is what somebody can end up using to explain this situation. They could say that, in fact, she was so traumatized by her child not being around that it blocked out of her mind. She went into a dissociative state.
Oh,
I'm telling you what they
grasping for something.
Well, listen, you might
okay,
end
but
up being
I'm
a
telling
defense
you what-
witness. Dr. Judy, watch out.
I'm telling you what the possibility
Well,
is for an
I want to
explanation.
thank my excellent panel. We got to switch to another kooky case.